me to rise eternally. I am one the pure in heart, joining the heavenly host of Seraphic and Seraphim, angels bright into the light. I come out of the light with thee, never to do thy will, destined to return to my home, there to run from the light in God's heart. Singing hosannas now, joyous in gratitude. God is all in all of life, all of love, all of me. I am the Son of the Lord, standing before the door, opportunity to victory. All praise to the mighty one for the ascension flame. From the heart of God, cosmic grace, cosmic love, be we adored.
Hail, sons and daughters of God, attention. I am Justinius, and I address you in the full power of the white fire of the anointing of the children of the light. I come with legions of seraphim and fiery salamanders and angels of the violet flame, who are absolutely God-determined to purge the sons and daughters of light of the very cause and core of that resistance and recalcitrance before the living flame of God. I am here in the name of the cosmic Christ to anoint you with the spikenard, and yet some have not prepared themselves for the initiation of the sacred fire in that cosmic cross. And therefore I must instruct you first, and listen as I tell. Beloved hearts, some have taken this path to use the violet flame and the ministering servants of God above to their own pleasure, their own satisfaction, and their own indulgence, determining to use that flame to their own purposes and to create an era and a lifetime of comfortability. Blessed ones, this is not the path of initiation or of the great white brotherhood, and this is not the purpose for which these two servants have gone forth, or this church universal and triumphant was founded. And therefore let us begin at the beginning. You are here, if you are here, called of God, to pursue the path of the ascension and to follow the lead of the ascension flame, which is the mother light, to follow the lead of the initiations given to the messenger, knowing full well that you too will pass through many of these initiations, if not all, for there are some that you will not pass through. Therefore, beloved hearts, understand that you must follow the lead of the flame and of the sacred fire, and not attempt to lead it or to tell it when it may or may not accelerate within you. The release of the sacred fire from your God presence is according to the divine plan of initiation. When you close the door to that flame, preferring yesterday's self instead of the self that is tomorrow's self of your very Christhood, I tell you, beloved, you close the door to that specific initiation, and in some instances it will not come again in this lifetime. Blessed ones, you have heard of laggard races who have sought the status quo of their materialism. Well, I tell you, there are also spiritual laggards who have positioned themselves in this organization, who are determined to say, we will stay as we are, we will not be moved, we will not budge, nor for the angels or the masters or the messenger, but we will do what we please, and we will go thus far and no farther, and do not ask us to do anything more, for we will not do it, for our service and our acceleration is sufficient, and therefore there is the ironclad steel bar that says we will not change. Thus, beloved hearts, these individuals become a block to the release of light to people throughout the world who are hungering and thirsting for this teaching and this acceleration, and who once they find it will come in, as Arcturus has told you, and they will accelerate and they will move through the path of the degrees, even as Mother Mary as a little child did so. Thus, beloved hearts, I will come and I will stand before you, and my hand through the hand of the messenger will touch your forehead with a spikenard this night. And I tell you, if you close the door to the full initiation of that blessing, it will not be given you again, no matter how many times you may come to the altar. The light itself embodies the law, and the light and the law will not be flaunted. Understand the true meaning of the path of initiation, for you are here as though you were at Luxor. You are here preparing for that union with God, and in that very coil of fire, beloved hearts, I can assure you that Serapis Bey will not keep you there if you dictate to him when he may or may not require of you the payment for some karmic debt or the payment for some burden to life. Let us understand and go to the very heart of the matter then. Let us go to the heart of the mother flame. Let us go to the heart of the sacred fire and realize that that human stubbornness that sways to and fro, makes one decision today and forsakes it on the morrow, this will not stand in the day of the appearing of thy God flame. We have given a course and a study and a teaching and a path that is for your victory, because you need it, not because we need to hear ourselves speak again and again and again, not because we need to have our messenger offer the best fruits of heaven again and again. Thus take not for granted the moment of our coming through the messenger, or the preparation necessary for our coming. For blessed hearts, your life streams have much to give and much to offer for the receipt of that light. And we must preserve the instrument, because when you are ready, we desire to have the instrument to give you those initiations that are due your life stream. Do it in the cosmic cycles, understand, blessed hearts, not necessarily due as reward, but because of the cosmic cycles which Maitreya has unfurled. Understand then the meaning of the coming of Lord Maitreya and the mystery school. The great moment of his coming signifies a turning in the age and an unleashing of his causal body that does contain the formula of the path of the Bodhisattva for all who would unite with him in love and receive the fruit of the tree of life, the initiation of life in the heart, and also the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is the awareness taught to you by beloved Archangel Gabriel of absolute light and absolute darkness, absolute good and absolute evil in Armageddon upon earth. When you study the book of teachings of Archangel Gabriel and have the understanding of these principles, then you will understand the meaning of the initiation when it does come to you. Thus study to show thyself approved for this initiation of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is a very necessary one and a very difficult one, and you must take it in full conscious awareness of that whereof you partake. Blessed ones of the holy flame of God, I with my seraphim come in a mighty service to life, and we are absolutely God determined that you will open your eyes and awaken and see when you miss your opportunity to consume that spiritual blindness and that spiritual self-love that does indeed blind you to the tremendous opportunity of the hour to be the instrument of Almighty God. We are determined absolutely in this hour of the action of the dark cycle in Taurus forthcoming, that you, one and all, will clear the 10-4 axis of the line of the cosmic clock, and that you will go after the false astrology and the misqualified energies under the hierarchies of Scorpio and Taurus that have caused so much burden, to the planetary home, that have actually brought forth the levels of the astral plane of death and hell into the physical octave. Beloved ones, the clearing of this access in your individual world can mean a tremendous turning of the tide in the earth, and therefore stand strong in the power of Cyclopeia and Godfrey and Gautama Buddha and all of the bodhisattvas who have overcome on this line, for it does indeed represent the pit of death and hell. We are determined as Seraphim of God to join you with Archangel Michael's legions in the cleaning out of these pits and the denizens thereof. But we desire the strengthening, and in order for you to survive this path of initiation in this year, you must be willing to leave the old comfortable ways of the human habit patterns and recognize rebellion for what it is when you see it. Mental rebellion, emotional obstinance, physical rebellion in that which is taken into the body and in its habit patterns, and also that rebellion which still manifests as the record and memory in the etheric body. Beloved ones, let us call a spade a spade. You must look in to the very pools of the all-seeing eye of God. You must look into the divine memory. You must see who you are at inner levels and know that this is an hour when the fullness of the glory of God within you can descend if you will allow it so. Blessed ones, be of good cheer. I understand that portion of yourself that has goodwill and is good intended, but I tell you as all that I know and for all that is holy, that you could make more progress in the light if you were absolutely God determined to break that shell of the mortal consciousness. The law of mortality has no power over you, and yet you give it power because you desire the rounds of mortality again and again. Well, we are the Seraphim of God, and some of us have gone forth into physical embodiment, and some of us have not, but we are washed in the sacred fires of the great central sun. And understand, beloved hearts, that that initiation can come to you before your ascension if you will prepare yourselves. It is a matter and a question of the pursuit of the science of the ruby ray. Thus make haste to take advantage of the offered gifts of God as the message goes forth to work while you have the light. The meaning of the resurrection is profound for this planetary home, because you see, beloved ones, in order for the holy innocents to be out of harm's way, out of the vulnerability to death and hell itself, there must come an acceleration of the holy ones of God. In other words, the regeneration and the resurrection is for the spinning of the electrons and the atoms. It is for the increase of consciousness and the stepping up of the vibrations of the physical body itself, so that individuals are actually no longer vibrating at the lowest levels of planet Earth, to which there is a vibration in this hour because of the non-fulfillment of the cycles of the final judgment of all those who are not of the light. Thus, while death and hell yet prevail upon earth in certain quarters, the light bearers must be above that plane in their consciousness, in their physical bodies, in their life patterns, and therefore come apart from those lower vibrations. For the safety of the light bearers and their children is in that coming apart by vibration, not necessarily by geographical location, unless you realize that in the higher altitudes and in the mountains of the earth, where greater purity is stored in the very fire of the rock, in the very devas of the elementals, of the trees and of the fields and of the earth itself, there is indeed a higher percentage of the etheric plane and octave that is anchored in the physical. You can understand that the etheric octave cannot manifest in the depths of the ghettos of the city and in the darkness that does prevail there, and thus the geographical move is essential, but is not sufficient unless the move and acceleration accompanying it is the acceleration in the paths of immortality, and therefore put behind you the old ways, and do not necessitate more and more rounds of self-indulgence before you finally get the message, before you are finally surfeited in the ways of this world. I tell you, the surfeiting will never come, because the pit is the pit of bottomless desire, and the more you indulge therein, the more you want more, and this is the definition of addiction, whether to drugs or whether to the misuse of the sacred fire or to the rock music or all the ways of the world. The addictions do not go away. In fact, the addictions devour the very soul until there is nothing left, and you see decay and degeneration and death of those who die from their addictions. Beloved ones, I speak to you because I am concerned lest you die of the addiction to the human ego and do not even know that the process has taken place before you have made the transition and once more lost the opportunity of an embodiment. And I tell you, it is indeed a razor's edge, and you must consider that the initiates of the past have had to be one pointed in that final embodiment toward the ascension, and no one is going to hand you your ascension on a silver platter. You are going to earn that ascension contrary to all teachings of Christianity and Judaism. You will earn it in the way that Moses earned it. You will earn it in the way that Zarathustra and Confucius earned it. You will earn it in the way that the Lord Jesus Christ earned it. And in no other way will you climb the staircase to the supreme reality of the I am that I am. Thus, beloved hearts, is it not better to have exceeded the requirement by generous measure than to fall short of the mark by a small percentage, being chary then in your giving? You never know what is the requirement of law for your life stream. You do not know what your karma of millions of years is. Therefore, how can you possibly calculate how much love of God is enough? How much love of your fellow man is enough? How much service is enough? I tell you, infinity is enough. And that which is sufficient is infinity and the infinite consciousness of God. And you ought to desire to be such a shining example, even a seraphim incarnate, that all the world cannot miss the example of those who are flying home to the heart of God. Let them compromise. Let them water down. Let us say that if we be watered down 10 times, our example will still be enough to compel them to come home. This is the mark of a seraphim and of the initiates of our order. And do not think that you aspire too high to be like the seraphim. I can assure you that we are the angels who cut through the most dense conditions, and we are hailed and called by all the legions of the 7 mighty archangels to render our assistance in the deliverance of the trial by fire. And remember, it is written, and it is true, and it is law, that the fire shall try every man's work, and therefore you shall not escape the fiery trial. And it is written that some may suffer loss because their works are not acceptable. And then, in addition to suffering loss, that the soul itself may burn and be consumed in that fiery trial because it in itself has not internalized the white light and the heat thereof. It is one thing to suffer the burning of one's efforts of lifetimes and one's work, and this indeed is a harsh lesson. But it is another to be utterly consumed by that fire because one has nothing of God within oneself. I pray that you realize and that you become grateful when you receive initiations of the sacred fire and are stripped of that consciousness that is not of the highest self. I pray that you do not sense a resentment for the suffering of loss or for the tearing down of the building that you have built, because it is not in keeping with the plumb line of truth. Beloved ones, it is good to receive the judgment and the fiery trial daily, that you may know what you have that is real, you may know who you are, and just how much God consciousness is the real God consciousness, and all else go into the flame. Those who are intelligent on the path of the initiations of the seraphim pray daily for the judgment of God upon their own souls, that they might have an understanding, a recognition, and a reading from the very throne of God as to the measure of their perfection in the mind of God. This is the preference of the initiates, who are determined not to make it by a hair, but to make it, beloved ones, with an excess of light and the cup pouring over that can deliver to all people the mandate of perfection for those who are caught in the jaws of the bowels of the very pit itself. Need a tremendous power of light of those who are moving forward. Imagine yourselves pulling the whole world. Imagine yourselves pulling together on a mighty giant rope. You realize that the momentum and the geometry of the momentum of all light bearers upon earth is pulling against a tremendous weight. Now we desire not to have to pull against our own chelas, not to have to lead you around by a ring through the nose as pampered, indulgent little bulls of Taurus. Beloved ones, we will not pull against your pull. You must pull against your pull. You must pull with us as we heave a mighty heave together and pull those light bearers that are in the farthest corners of the earth and have no idea of the path of Christhood that is waiting for them, that they must tie into even in this embodiment. This is an age of the turning of worlds. It is an age of the turning of cycles. It is an age when in the darkest cycle of the Kali Yuga we attend the descent of the greatest light of the great white brotherhood, and this activity itself is bringing that great light, and you see that great light, and the imminence of the greater light is always here and always subject unto the bowl, who are the receivers in this hour, as you are indeed one holy grail, all light bearers upon earth and keepers of the flame, to form that holy grail and are facets of its crystal. Let the crystallization of the consciousness of God within you be all of your desiring, and may you see that consciousness spreading its mighty light rays through your chakras, through the 7 rays, in all you do, and may you realize that this is not a rigidity, it is not a fanaticism, it is not some sort of path of asceticism, it is the full glory of the rainbow rays of God, permeating, loving, purifying, manifesting the truth in your hands and your hearts and everywhere. And let us move forward in the great rainbow rays of God that have come for the deliverance of this nation and the deliverance of the chakras of the earth. And therefore I, Justinius, stand in the heart of Los Angeles, stand in the heart of New York City. I am determined that the mighty pillars of the Elohim of God are there for the protection of America and the I Am race. I determine that this people in America shall be awakened by my seraphim, and therefore new contingents of seraphim descend from the heart of God and the great sinful sun. Come now to earth, drenched with the living fires of the sacred one, truly the bodhisattvas, and they come to America, and they come to saturate this people and cut them free from the lies of the fallen ones and all that has been told them regarding world communism. Beloved hearts of light, I am standing in all media and mouthpieces of the media, both in the press and television and radio and every form of contact with the American people, and our seraphim are standing there, and if you will call to us and call to the great causal bodies of the saints, you will discover how we will purge and purify, and the seraphim of God, who have the authority of Serapis and the great sinful sun, to stand in the auras of the people, will do so in answer to your call. Do you understand this teaching from Serapis, beloved hearts? The seraphim may stand congruent where you are. They may release the sacred fire, purge and purify, renew your bloodstream, give you eternal youth. You have but to call for it and to live the path of the one who is ascending, and we will do it by cosmic law and by the judgment call of the Lord Christ through those individuals who are the serpent and their seed, and we'll give them that opportunity to bend the knee and confess the Christ within you. And if they do not bend the knee and confess that Christ, beloved hearts of light, you will see the judgment to come upon them. You will see the binding of the tares, and you will know that God is determined to save this planetary home, and that if he is going to save it, he is going to have to do it with the speed of light, and you will be very grateful that he will do it with the speed of light, beloved hearts, because I tell you, you will not want to wait the million years it will take to spend out the outplaying of these fallen ones, and no one in cosmos desires to wait any longer, for they've played out themselves again and again and again, and now they are tormenting the little ones, and we must hide our eyes and hide our faces as we see the molesting of little children, not only their bodies, but their souls and their minds and their nervous system and their chakras. We cannot bear it. We have gone before Almighty God and Alpha and Omega in the heart of the great sinful Son. We are determined that the days of the elect shall be shortened and the days of the wicked shall be shortened, and therefore we need to intensify the light within you, and therefore I am come to anoint you in this hour with the oil of spikenard, because you must become pillars of fire, because you must be the vessels of seraphim, because we desire you to be seraphim of God upon earth and join the ranks of the initiates of the sacred fire. And you understand that as I speak out of the flame, and therefore my words are zipping through to your very heart flame as a mighty coil of fire, to enable you to understand just how slow and just how sluggish is your thinking, that you can scarcely comprehend what I am saying, beloved hearts, and yet you do comprehend it because the Holy Spirit is upon you, and you do understand that this indeed is the acceleration. And when you ascend, you will speak and you will work and you will think and you will grow this fast, and you will know that God is not limited to your present state of human habit patterns. Why should you subject yourself to these patterns any longer? Why should you indulge? There is no reason. I tell you, I am a seraphim of God. I am the captain of Seraphic hosts, and we do know what is required for your life streams, and we come in the most intense fire and love of our being, and we speak to you in the outpouring of mercy's flame. We speak to you out of the love of Almighty God. We communicate to you that this earth must become a sun, that you must rise to the level of the etheric octave even while you are physical, as you have been told, and you must understand that when that quotient of light bearers who have risen to that level with the messenger do so, there will be a tremendous release of light, there will be new initiation, and there will be a tremendous expansion of this activity. Therefore, let those in the white fire core receive our blessing now. Lord Gautama Buddha, I, Justinius, bow before thy heart flame and before the heart of God in the great central sun. I am an emissary of Alpha and Omega. I bring good tidings of the cosmic spheres. 10,000 times 10,000 seraphim bow before thy flame, gracious Gautama. I pray to your mighty heart of light for intercession on behalf of these keepers of the flame. Let them receive what thou wilt, O Gautama. Use me, O Lord, in this hour for the perfecting of the race of the I Am, for the ministration unto them. Anoint, O beloved Lord, my angels who are thy servants, for we come, as thou knowest, to deliver this earth of darkness. I pray, O Lord, from thy mighty threefold flame, the quickening, the increase, according to solar logoi, that light bearers may come now into a new dimension of the highest self. I submit myself to thee, and in the service of thine own. Thus, bless me, O Lord, that I might minister in thy name. I am that I am.